This conference will now be recorded.
All right, log rotate is important because and there's a lot of things that go behind this. This is probably the crux of all your data out there um inside your cloud, right? So even when you log into AWS or GCP or whatnot, you're generating some log, right? And so there's something somewhere that needs to know where to send all this log information. And then there's something else out there that needs to know how to store this log information and where to store it. And then there's something out there that needs to say, I need to analyze this log information. So that's where we get into talking about. That's where we get into talking about. Okay, well, how does this work when when we want to make sure that our machine isn't backed up, or by default, with Red Hat, the audit utility will suspend your will send your machine into read only, and it won't let you write to the machine because your machine has reached 50% capacity. It's a safe fail, so that way you take notice that can't nobody write to this machine, or it hasn't been backing up log in forever. So this is where log rotate and backup of log files and sending them somewhere and analyzing them come into play. This is all going into like the ELK stack and getting into your cloud logs, Splunk, uh, Splunk. There's another one that does log utility, or I wouldn't say log utility, but log forensics and so forth. This is what this gets into. This is just a prelude to that, right? So as you can see here, if you went over into ls etc cron daily, and what do we know etc for? What if once we see slash etc, what do we should automatically think?
Config
Password.
files.
All right, config file. So if we go to etc and cron.daily, anything in here, we know that's some type of configuration. All right, so we got this binary. This looks like it's a binary called log rotate. So if we don't know what this is, the command to use is file and do file log rotate. And they tell me it's an ASCII executable. So it is a binary on here. So I'm sure I can't look at it, but let's try. Okay, yeah, I can look at it. Okay, so here it is. User bin log rotate etc log rotate.conf. You can see that is a shell script is using the sh shell. And then it was like it's taking values in from, and this is where you start needing to know what these mean. So there's $sign one, $sign zero. Let's look this up real quick. Make sure I'm telling you this right. Do 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 do. Come over here. Oops. Bring this over. All right. So a $sign question mark is used to find the return value of the last executed command. Try this from the shell. ls some file and then echo. So let's give that a shot. Let's ls something. Let's ls/temp. We have a file over there. No, but we do have a file in slash password, etc password. Right? And then they say once you do that, echo, the echo that what I had. Was it question mark? Yeah, $question mark. That's interesting. I guess that should be from what you call it. It should be from interpreting from command line, pulling in something from command line. Let's look at it. If some file exists, if some file exists, you'll get a return value thrown by the ls command, which should be 0. Default means success return. If it didn't exist, then you would get another number then 0. So it'll be a different number. So let's try that again. So you make sure you understand it. So if I did an ls on etc password dot text, right? And then I do the echo on this, I get a different number. So that's a failure. So this is a way to check to see if the last command that you ran was a pass or fail, success or failure. Got it?
That's cool.
All right. So when you
Hmm.
if you ever look at a bash script or you look at the script and you see that, you should write this down because you're gonna forget it. Um, know that that's just gonna give you the last command, whether it's success or fail. And if it's a success, it should give you a 0. If it's a fail, it'll give you a different number. Cool. Oops. All right, that's clear. All right, so inside of cron daily, we saw that file, that executable. We knew that it was executable because I did a file on Logrotate, and that tells me that it's a shell script and it's a ASCII executable. And then I also started reading the executable file, which means that, hey, Logrotate, do something on this file right here, etc logrotate.com. So we're in etc. I'm going to go up one directory and I'm going to use vim to look at logrotate.com. All right, so logrotate.com. This is remember when we looked at rsyslog last week? We looked at rsyslog last week. Let me go back to that file. rsyslog.com. Remember this? Was it this one? Let me double check. Yep, it was this one. Remember we looked at this right here, and we were saying like, hey, boot.log is getting saved into var.bootlog. This spooler is for printing emergencies and so forth. These emergency messages, they end up coming on screen and in the file. Cron, anything related to cron.star is going into varlog cron. Anything related to mail is going into mail log. But guess what happens? These files get rotated. And so if you never paid attention to, oops, get caps on here. If you never paid attention to varlog / varlog, and let me clear, and let me do it ls. If you never paid attention to these files, because this machine hasn't been up for a very long time, it's just been up today. These files, they get compressed messages, so you'll get a messages .log, .1 gzip or .2 gzip. It compresses them, but it's rotating the logs, and so those logs get rotated over here in etc log rotate. And if we went into the .d folder, you see boot log, btm, cronny, dnf, firewall d, ssd, syslog, and wtm. So if we go look at vim boot log, you see that we have varlog boot.log, and this is where you have to use your help or your info or your man pages for this. But missing okay daily, copy truncate, rotate I think this is every 7 days, and notify when empty. So you're setting up where your boot log or the boot commands and so forth are gonna get logged, and you're telling that in var r etc r syslog dot conf. In here, you're telling, hey, whenever you see anything related to info, mail, privileges, cron, whatever, uh, log that into var log. If you want kernel messages, put that on the console, and this will clutter up your screen. It will be hard to get it undone. You probably have to go into rescue mode to get it undone, or just know what you're typing, because it's gonna flood your screen with every kernel message out there. Mail log, cron, var log, cron, and spool, and you see here boot log, your local 7. So we're gonna get into what all these things mean. All right. So now when we look at we want to do a man on log rotate. All right, so log rotate, when we look at this, I want to see the different states. I want to see about the different ones right here. Here's what I want right here. All right, so log rotate reads everything about the log files it should be handling from the series of configuration files specified on the command line. Each configuration files can set global options, local definitions, override global ones, and later definitions, and specify log files to rotate. A simple configuration file looks like this, like we just saw. Compress, varlog rotate, varlog messages, rotate 5, weekly, post rotate, and this, remember we were talking about signals. I need to write that down because we didn't go with signals. Sig up and sig down, kill 9 and all that. We need to go with signals. But kill all HUP, we'll go over that later. But syslog D and then in the script, right? And then here they got varlog, SS log, and then varlog, HTTPD error log, and what to put in there, who to mail, and the same here. But now we need to know what do each one of these mean, right? What in the world do each one of these actually mean, and how can we find out what they mean? So in here they have the directives, where you have compress. So old versions of the log files are compressed to gzip format. You're telling it compress CMD, uncompressed, compressed look like compressed ext, copy truncate, create. In other words, create a file, and daily log files are rotated every day. So let's get in here with the what was missing. Okay. So if the log file is go on to the next one without issuing an error. See no missing. Okay. And this is how you use this actual help file in order to set this up. So let's go back over here to our let's open up another window actually. And let's get let's close that. And let's open up another command, another shell. And let's minimize this. Let's make this a little smaller. And let's minimize you. All right. And now let's put them side by side. All right, now that's clear. And we'll do a man on log rotate here. Let's sudo to root here. And let's CDO to etc log rotate .d. And then let's look at boot log. And you can do this on your computer too. All right, so we want to look up, well, what does missing OK mean? So we got here by, let me escape. All right, so man log rotate, and I want to know what missing OK means. So they're saying missing OK means if the log file is missing, go on to the next one without issuing an error. So in other words, if I don't have any log files, it's okay. Go ahead and create me a new log file, and that's fine. So let's find out what daily means. They don't have it in here, but daily more than likely means create this every single day. Let's look up copy truncate. See, no copy truncate. What does copy truncate mean? Oh, come on. I don't want to type the whole thing. I'm being lazy. And if they don't have it, we assume that it is the opposite of what we just saw. What? I just had it. Truncate. Awesome. All right, so let's do this one. Info log rotate. Let's look up copy truncate. Let's see if it gives us anything in here. Here we go. So I did an info. Info gave me a little bit more information. So truncate the original log file to 0 size in place after creating a copy instead of moving the old log file and optionally creating a new one. It can be used when some programs cannot be told to close its log file and thus might continue writing or appending to a previous log file. So copy truncate. Note that there is a very small time slice between copying the file and truncating it. So some logging data might be lost. Interesting. And so then they go on to talk about, oh yeah, that's it right there. Just that little paragraph. This is something else. Create mode owner, that's something else. So truncate the original log file to 0 size in place after creating a copy of it. So you make a copy of it, and then you create a new one. Instead of moving the old log file and optionally creating a new one. It can be used when some programs cannot be told to close its log files and thus might continue writing or appending. And then they got rotate 7. So let's go look up rotate. Hold on. Let me get out of that. Yep. If I was searching for it. And this is the thing about man pages and info. I go back in between them. Let me go back to the man page and then look up rotate. As you can see, when I did info, it found it. So I go back in between the two. All right, so let's look up and see if we have a rotate here. So we got rotate 5. I believe rotate 5 is rotate every 5 days and every 7 days, I believe. So I'm looking in here. We're in copy, extension, hourly, add, include, mail. And it's finding everywhere rotate is seen in this file. So I'm looking right here for the word rotate, if you're wondering what I'm doing. Here we go, rotate count. Okay. Log files are rotated count time, so rotated 5 times before being removed or mailed to the address specified with the mail directive. If count is 0, all versions are removed rather than rotated. The default is 0. So if we didn't have anything here, the old versions would be removed rather than rotated. But we have a rotate 7, so we're gonna log files are rotated 7 times. So this log file will be rotated 7 times before it gets mailed. So to create 7 uh compressed boot log files, so bootlog.1, bootlog.2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and make do 0. Bootlog.0.1.2.3.4.5.6 before it rotates. And then notify empty. So you can do a search for notify empty. Now the question you probably have in your head, see that don't want the file, I got to do notif empty. The question you have in your head is, how do I know which one of these do I use in terms of when I'm creating my log file? Well, that's really going to depend on what you want to do. On the exam, 9 times out of 10, it's going to tell you what they want. So if empty, rotate the log file, even if it is empty, overriding the notif empty. So let's go see if we can find notif empty. Nothing, not finding it. So let's look online real quick. Let me see if I can pull it up. Notif empty, Logrotate. All right. Oh yeah, and the other way. Here's the other way. Do a man-k Logrotate. I don't know if you remember that. So they got they have it in 5. So if I do a man 8 log rotate, and let's see if we get notif empty. All right, we got 1. All right, do not rotate the log if it is empty. This overrides if empty. So don't rotate the log if it's empty. So that's what we got out of that. So if there's no log file there, it's okay. Do this daily, copy, truncate, rotate 7 times, and do not rotate the log file if empty. Let's look at another one, and then you all tell me what it is. Because you got to get used to using the man pages. So let's go look at Firewall D. Just learning how to read them. All right, so what do you think the weekly means, and how would you find that out? How do you find out what the directive means? They're called directives. So weekly log files are rotated once each weekday, or if the date is advanced by at least 7 days since the last one. The weekday interpretation is following 0. That's what I thought. I thought it started with 0. And then on Sunday, 1 means Monday, 6 means Saturday, and the special value 7 means that each 7 days, irrespectively of the weekday, defaults to 0 if the weekday argument is omitted. So you can tell it, you can put a weekday on here when to rotate, or you can just leave it as weekly. This right here is optional when they're in brackets. This is an option, right? And then the next one, missing okay. We know about that, right? Remember that? All right, missing okay. Oh yeah. All right, let's see. If the log file is missing, go on to the next one without issuing an error message. Meaning, if I don't have a log file, just go ahead and do what you got to do. Rotate what means what? How many times?
4 times.
Right? And then we looked up the copy truncate, but here's what we haven't looked at. We haven't seen the minimum size. So let's go look at min size. So I should be able to go up here because we're right here. Log files are rotated when they grow bigger than the size bytes. but not before the additionally specified time interval. So our time interval is weekly. The related size option is similar, except that it is mutually exclusive with the time interval options, which probably means nothing to you with what I just said, and it causes log files to be rotated without regard for the last rotation. When min size is used, both the size and the timestamp of the log file are considered. All right. So when min size is used, the size and the timestamp of the log file is considered. Let's see if we can get a better explanation on min size. Min size for log rotate. Let's see if we get a better example. That's what I want. Do-do-do. A better example. Let's look at this one. Min size. All right, so we went through all of that. We saw all of that. Let's look on here when we got. All right, so right here, they got cat.logrotate.com/temp output. The size is 1K. Create that. This is probably the permissions, the group and the user, and rotate forward. So here, log rotate runs only if the file size is equal to or greater than this size. Remember that we're using min size. Create, it says rotate the original file and create a new file with the specified permission with the user and the group. And then rotate limits the number of log file rotations. So this would keep only the recent 4 rotated log files. Is that clear to you right here? Let's see if they got another one. So this is what I was talking about here. When they're talking about log output log, then .1, .2, .3, .4. That's what I was talking about with the log files. All right, so let's look at this one. All right, the size is 1, copy, truncate, rotate for compress. So the compress is when we do the gzip. You see how they zipped it out? Output of the compressed log is output.log.1.gz. So it compresses using gz. Right? And you know this is the what? This creates what? Create a new file with what permissions? 700 with a user and a group of bala and copy truncate. Now, the best way to understand how to do this log rotation is to play with it. This is the best way to do that. I can set something up where we can start doing our log rotates on files, because you're gonna need to know this when you are working with log files and also trying to read them and making sure that you're able to, get, all your logs for your users logging in and whatever else you may need. If an application is not running correctly, you want to, want it to generate the log file in the proper location. Now let's look at a few more. I'm gonna let you tell me because they all look the same right here. So this is not a good example, but this is. All right. So what do you think size is when you look at it? What does size say when we do a man on size for log rotate? And let me tell you how I did it. All right. So I went here, I did a search because you can do a search on log rotate. And I said search the man pages for everywhere log rotate exists. And it tells me log rotate 8 and log rotate.com 5. I typed in man 8 because I want the 8th page or the 8th help file for log rotate. So that's how I got there. right? And then you can see that's verified up here, right? So this gives me the manual for it. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to find out about we want to find out about how can we get information about, well, what is the size, what does copy truncate mean, what does rotate mean, compress and post rotate. On the exam, they're probably going to tell you we wanted to have it at a minimum size of this. We want it to rotate 4 times. It should be done daily, and compressed. They're probably going to tell you. So let's look up and see if we can find an exam question. So let's look and say log rotate interview question. Let's see what it says. Have you configured log rotate to rotate your logs weekly and keep them for 8 weeks? You're running out of out of disk space. What should you do? Choose one. Quit using log rotate and manually save the logs to another location. Reconfigure log rotate to save the logs for 4 weeks. Configure log rotate to save the old files to another location. Use pre-rotate command to run a script to move the older files to another location. So what do you think your answer would be? Let's think it through. You have configured log rotate to rotate your log files weekly and keep them for 8 weeks. You're running out of disk space. So what's the emergency here? You're running out of disk space. It's the emergency. All right. What should you do? Should you quit using log rotate and save the old logs to another location? Is that gonna solve your problem if you another location? Or are you gonna still have the same problem when everything gets started up again in a couple of weeks?
Yeah, that doesn't sound like the answer.
That's the answer.
Right. All right. So then the next one is, so we're gonna cross out A. B says reconfigure log rotate to save logs for 4 weeks. It says before, it says the log rotate your logs weekly and keep them for 8 weeks. It just sounds like you're gonna have bigger logs, huh? Because you're only getting 8 weeks. Now you're combining them to 4 weeks. So it just sounds like you're gonna have big log files.
Right. Yeah.
Right? All
Yep.
right, the next one is configure log rotate to save the old files to another location. That's potential, right? You're saying, hey, create the log files and log rotate to save old files to another location. That's not very clear. It didn't say if the location is on the box or somewhere else.
Like
It
the
says
last.
another location. That don't mean it's in var log. Another location could be in /opt, right?
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean off the machine. So that's kind of vague. And then it says use the pre-rotate command to run a script to move the older logs to another location. So let's look at pre-rotate. What are y'all going with?
Pre-rotate.
All right, let's see. Pre-rotate. This line, the lines between pre-rotate and end-script, both which must appear on lines by themselves, are executed before the log is rotated, and only if the log will actually be rotated. These directives only appear inside of a log file definition. Blah 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 blah. That's not very descriptive. Let's see if they got anything else in here. But that's what pre-rotate is. Run this command. Run pre-rotate these files. Move these files first to another location. So pre-rotate command to run a script to move the the older logs to another location. And then just leave it there to do weekly logs, and then keep them for 8 weeks. The other one is log rotate to save the old files to another location. Yeah, I lean on towards CMB depending on how they got it set up. It's not very clear because here's why I say C could be an option, because you can have LVM set up and you can have your own partition for say slash opt or slash var log, and slash opt may be bigger than var log, so you can rotate your log files to another location and it could be on slash opt, or you can move it to another location that's off the box. So what I was getting towards is this. We have what we call syslog. Well, it's our syslog, but let's go back to it and show you what you didn't get a chance to really look at. All right. So in here, they have these modules right here. But what we have is we have what we call a syslog server. And it runs over 514. And when you set up a syslog server, where this is crucial at is I have 15 machines out there. I don't want to log into 15 machines and read those log files, right? But what I do want to do is I still want to read the log files, find out what's going on with the machines. So what do? I set up what we call a syslog server. And this is where you start getting into Splunk and other things. But I set up that syslog server, and I can set my syslog server up where I do this. Let me get out of this. Over in var log, I can say make me a direct. I can make a director, and I can call it East Coast machines. And then I'm a CD over to East Coast machines, and then I can have machines. I could have a directory in here for NYC, GA, North Carolina, South Carolina, uh, Connecticut. Well, no, yeah, Connecticut. Who else? Oh, Maine, all up and down the whole eastern part of the United States, right? Well, east coast of the United States. And so I can set that up where now everything that I have that comes in from Georgia, I can dump it into my Georgia folder. Everything from North Carolina, I can dump it in there. And I can even get more granular because I can tell in my log rotate, when I do my log rotate, when I create that, I can tell it where to go, send all your files to this one server, dump it into that folder, and compress it or rotate it or what have you. But I control that. And so this is what that's doing. That's what you have the ability to do when you look at etc rsyslog.com. We should set up a syslog server. I wonder if do they want you to do that on the Red Hat? I don't think so. I'll double check. Anyway, that's what this is. It's talking about, hey, here's 514, send these messages, set up a server, and then this server is set up to receive on 514. And then you on your client side, you tell it to send everything to 514, but you have to tell it where you want it to place it. So let's do a syslog server. Let's do a syslog server. I don't think you need that for the 124, but we should do a syslog. So I think you need that for the for Red Hat or for the RACE. I think you need that for the RACE. I don't think you need it for the RAC. Is that? And that's the gist of log rotate. Let me see if there's anything else that I'm missing to tell you on log rotate. Let me make sure. But these are the ones that we're gonna have to go through and like figure out. Let me see if they got anything else that I think is worth you knowing. Let me see. Yeah. See, they all have the same examples. Copy truncate, missing okay, max age, probably max number of days. Log rotate, compress CMD, and compress int option. Specify compression command for log file rotation. So okay, we specified to use bzip2, and the extension it wants you to use is bzip2. Rotate 4 times. Create, but they don't give a user and group right there. And then they have copy truncate, and then the size that you can have. Let's go look at size on log rotate, because I don't know if size is the largest size or is it the max size. So let's look up that. And let's look up size. So max size log files are rotated when they grow bigger than the size bytes even before specified daily routine. The related size option is similar except that it is mutually exclusive with the time interval, and it causes blah blah blah, and we got max min size. So let's see if we can get size. No, I don't see a size here. Oh, there it is. Log files are rotated only if they grow bigger than the size. Remember, they have the size in bytes, but I think after you put the M or the G or the whatever, if the M is used, the size is in megabytes. If the G is used, it's in gigabytes. So if you don't put any size down there, it's going to be in bytes. So we have here 1K, 1 kilobyte. So if it grows bigger than 1 kilobyte, do all these things. Notice that the size is what it looks at first, and then it goes in order in here and does its thing. If you notice that. Here they don't have a size. Weekly, they don't have a size there. Monthly. Log rotate monthly, daily, weekly option. Rotate log files weekly, daily, monthly. So monthly, add a weekly keyword is shown below for weekly log rotation, weekly. And then add daily keyword is shown below for every day log rotation, which is daily. So it's gonna rotate this log file output.log every single day. Did that make sense? Are you fuzzy on it? I feel like you may be fuzzy. So let's do an example. Let's copy bootlog to temlog. All right, so now let's do an ls on var log. We don't have a tam log there, right? So log rotate. I think it has a daemon. I think it, or maybe is it rsys log. We'll find out. RPM, no, yum search log rotate. I can't remember the daemon. It may just be rsys log. So see, here's just that syslog ng. It's a script for setting up your syslog server. Rotate and compress, move file, mail systems, log rotate. So let's do a yum. No, let's do an RPM dash QILC for log. That's file by package. And this is how I find out what. Remember, I did this last week. If I want to find out what files are stored where. All right, so we have a etc. We don't have a binary. Yep, we don't have a binary, so it's probably our syslog. All right, so it's clear. So let's do a systemctl restart our syslog. Is that right? Yep. Let me see. Now, did it create my file? I don't think it did. I think I gotta have something that triggers it. But let's find out. ls var log. No tam log. I think I have to have something that's gonna trigger the tam log. So if we go etc log rotate .d tam log, we have to have something that's gonna trigger something being written to tam.log. All right. But we have it set up where I just copied one, and you can do that too if you're cool with it. If you like how it's set up, just copy it and create your own. So now I have a var log tam log. So let's see if we can get something writing to our output.log or our tam.log. All right, let's see. How can we get something to write to it? Okay, let's create. Let's do log rotate. Create file, trigger file. That's what we want. Trigger writing to file. Now this may be in the book. Let's see. What Lynn know. This is old. All right, log rotate, rotated cron job. They talk about it, but no one's telling me how to write to it. That's what I want. I could create a bash script that'll write to it, but I forget how to do it. There is a way to trigger and it may be here. Now I'm thinking about it. I may have to go into here, into rsyslog.conf and tell it to write stuff there. Let's go here. Instead of cron. And let me undo that. Because I don't want to erase it. It don't matter though, because I'm going to get rid of this machine. So comment. Oops. Let's get this line. Let's comment out this line. And then let's shift over to here and do tam.log. And now I'll have to restart our rsyslog. Now when I look at var log, did it come up? Oh, there it is. Oh no, it's not. I'm in the wrong file. I'm in the wrong folder. I mean, tam log didn't get created. So let me see. Can I push something to cron? Can I make cron do some work for me? Let me see. Is anything in cron? Yep, we do have something in cron. So let me restart cron. So system CTL. I think there is a cron daemon. Maybe called cron D. Clear. And then let's do a system CTL status on cron. On cron D then. All right, so there's a service running. And let's look at here. Okay, there it is. Tam.log got written to, and it created it. All right. And then now we're going to look at tam.log. You'll see that it's receiving the cron jobs. So did you see how I did that? All right, so if we go back over here to etc rsyslog.conf, I told it to, instead of going here to varlog cron, go to varlog tam.log, right? But I also created a logrotate over here, .d for tam log. And I said, okay, in varlog tam log, if missing, okay. So it wasn't there before, so it created it, right? Do it daily, copy truncate, rotate it 7 times, and notif empty. I forget what notif empty. I gotta look that one up again. Forget it off the top of my head. Let's look at it real quick. Notif empty logrotate. What did you say it was there, buddy? Tells, okay, notif empty tells logrotate to skip rotating if the log file is empty. All right, that's not makes sense. All right, so if the log file was empty, don't rotate it, just skip it, right? So we can do this again. Let's go back into etc rsyslog.conf. And we can tell it, instead of everything that's related to info, we'll yank this, paste, and I'm gonna take star.info off here. And then I'm going to just leave start info here. And then I'm going to create a file. I wanted to create a file in varlog, but I'm going to call it new messages. Right. And now I'm going to restart. Oh, I got to go to logrotate. And you don't need to do these together, but if you want the files to be rotated instead of one big massive file, like if you don't put a log rotate in there, it's just gonna keep writing to the same file, and you're gonna have to look at 10,000 lines of log files. So it's best to rotate it. So now we do a log rotate .d. And now I'm going to just copy, let's cat firewall D. Let's see what firewall D looks like. So we do it weekly. If it's nothing there, it's okay. Rotate 4 times, the minimum size of 1 meg, I guess, before you rotate. That's fine. So let's copy firewall D. And I called it new messages. And then let's vim new messages. And let's call this new messages here. And then once we do that, we have to restart our syslog. And before we do, let's clear the screen. Let's do an ls. We have new messages. If we look at ls, do an ls on var log. We don't have a new messages here. We just have messages. Let's do ls minus L. You see Tamlog is doing this thing. Oh, look, new messages already started. I guess it picked up the change immediately. Let's see dates. Yeah, it looked like it picked up the change immediately. Like whatever you got going on, it picked up the change. Usually you have to restart for it to pick up. But let's go look at new messages. Oh, did I put it in the wrong folder? Hold on. Oh yeah, I'm in the wrong folder. Okay, cool. Let's do it ls on minus L on var log. Okay. So we shouldn't have new messages. Okay, cool. All right, I went crazy. All right, clear. Now let's go to var log. So verify it like I just showed you. There's nothing here called new underscore messages, but there is a new underscore messages in log rotate, which is the one we just did. So in logrotate.conf, .d, we have a new messages, which is our log file, which is telling it to write info into new messages. So let's see if we can get some information in there. Let's look at messages first, because I don't know what messages get logged there. So we got just info, looks like kernel information, system D. All right, maybe if I restart a service, it'll go there. I don't know. Let's open up another terminal here. Let's open up another cloud terminal. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna compare side by side. We're gonna compare side by side to see it in real time. Is this making sense to you? Is there some clarity there? All right. So let's go here. Put that one on the left. Put that one on the right. Okay. So sudo. All right. And what we'll do here is we'll do a watch minus ls minus L. All right, and what we're looking for over here on the right hand side is when I restart our syslog, let's see if new underscore messages shows up. It should show up in between those two files there. So let's see. So now let's do a systemctl restart our syslog. It show up? Yep. So there's new messages. And it already has something written to it right there. All right. And let's see. Let's restart a service. Restart SSHT. Did it pick up some more stuff? Yep. So new messages picked up some more information when I did that. So now let's go do a vim on var log new messages. And let's kill this one here. So in new messages, we got stuff from rsyslog restarting and then SSH restarting. We didn't get kernel messages, but I hadn't rebooted it yet. But it looks like we're just getting the info of these processes restarting, right? And how I did that was I did a vim on etc rsyslog.conf, and in here I went and said, okay, look, well, you have everything going into messages here. Let's break it out and put just info into var log new messages. And so now I have that stuff going to var log new messages. And I also have cron stuff going to tam.log. And this is just another way, like you can come in here and set up logs. And this is when you start getting to RSys log, like what you want to log and where you want stuff to go. So if you did a man page on rsyslog.conf, and it'll come in here and it'll tell you a little bit more about rsyslog. We should probably spend some more time on it so you know what gets logged. And know how to set up your log files and so forth, like what you want to log. If you had to log something, like you could log something coming from a particular IP, like you can do the time date stamps, you can do contains, is equal, or starts with, or you can break it down so you can get really, really funky with rsyslog and how things should look. Right here, like, you know, you have a template, var log system, the host name, and then the log. And this gets into your setting it up with your a template, and then you setting up your syslog server. But I don't think you have to know this for what you call it. I think you just need to understand log rotate and how to set up a log file, how to rotate logs for the 124. And I'll double check that. Let me double verify that is the case. Let's see. And we can minimize this, and we can come here and let's do the, what is it called? The PE 124. Right. And let's double verify that. I don't think you all are going to be setting up log files. So let's go log, Control F, log. See, log in and switch users. Locate and interpret system log files and journals. That was it. Yeah, so you're not gonna be setting up a syslog server. Not on this particular one, not on this PE 124 one. You won't be doing that. Locate and interpret system files and journals. So yeah. Yep. Let me see. This the RHCE. Let's see. Understand essentials. Run local storage. I don't think you're gonna be doing. I think you're all Ansible here. Yep. So let's go back one on the 134 exam. I think that's when you all are gonna do that. So let's look up log. Logical volumes. Nope. Don't even have you setting it up here and rotating log files. I'll look in, do a deeper dive and see, but I'm not seeing that. But you know how to locate the files, you know how to create a log rotate, you understand log rotate some, maybe. You can type,
I love it.
what'd you say?
Now my favorite topic.
Once you start playing with it and just no one, so here's the one thing. No one on a interview question would ask you what does missing okay mean in an interview question.
Okay.
And the reason why is because it's just something that people just don't know. Most people just look that up,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then if somebody asks you, well, how would you find that out? Oh, I would do a search on log rotate and then in the man pages and then make sure I pick which, rotate, which man file to page to look at, and then I would go through there. But nobody's asking you to remember that. That's just not something people are doing. We'll
Okay.
spend some more time on Logrotate. I would hate for you to set up a Logrotate server, a log server, because you'll get mad with me. All right, so I'm gonna go over this. I'm gonna run to 9:30. I got 20 minutes to do this. I did a. How do we install packages with Yum? If I want to install Telnet, how do I install Telnet?
Yum install talent.
Yep. How do I remove Telnet?
Mm.
Yeah, remove telnet.
Yep.
Okay.
Um. Yep. How do I find out what packages are installed on my system?
Uh, is
The
it with
yum.
the
What'd you say?
It's a list. I can't remember.
is it the
Yum
RPM?
install list.
RPM-QA.
Yeah.
Okay.
It gives me all my packages. How do I filter if I want to see if uh if 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 Telnet is on here? I do a RPM-QA, then what? I pipe it over to
Grab telnet.
yep. Right, so Telnet's not installed. If I want to find out, if I want to install an RPM, if I want to install an RPM without using Yum, I want to use the RPM command. How do I install an RPM?
Did you use is it wget?
Mm-mm.
I can't
So the
remember.
RPM dash IVH some dot RPM. That's how you install it. So the difference between Yum and RPM is this. Yum goes out and uses the repos to resolve the dependencies that it needs for that RPM.
Okay.
If you use RPM, RPM is only going to install that RPM and tell you that I have dependencies, but it won't help you get those dependencies. Yum will help you get those dependencies, or at least notify you what those dependencies are. RPM will do that too. It'll notify you, but it won't go out and grab them.
And when do you use wget?
So you only use wget to download something via HTTPS. That's what wget. I want to grab something and pull it in. Wget and
Oh,
curl are grabbers of information. Grab me something over HTTPS.
okay.
That's what wget is for. I want to grab something that's over HTTPS. Grab me that. That's what wget is used for. Curl the same way.
Okay.
I just want to get something and pull it to me. Like that's what I want to do.
Got it.
All right, so now I want to install bzip2. But first, I want to find out if bzip2 is on my machine. Somebody tell me what command do I need to use to find out if bzip2 is already installed.
RPM-QA. PZIP
Grep bzip2.
grep.
All right, so here's why you're able to find out that bzip2 is installed. Reason why you're able to find out bzip2 is already on the machine is because RPM itself has its own database. It's called RPMDB. That database is local to just this box here, not everywhere else, but just this box. So it has a local database, and that it queries that local database and tells me bzip2 is on this machine, the RPM is installed. Now, how do I find out what repository bzip2 comes from?
Yum info.
Yep, Yum info bzip2. And it tells me right here, the repository that it comes from is this. See that?
Yep.
All right. So we have what we call in, I'm gonna CD over the temp while I do this. I'm just gonna make some files. Right. All right. So we have this command inside of Linux called tar. You remember you all ever used WinZip?
No.
Yes. Yeah.
WinZip, if you're on a Windows box, WinZip is what everybody used to zip up files and send them back and forth to compress them, right? So it's old school. But we have in Linux, we have what we call a tar file, and we have a GZ. So let's do a man on tar. I already knew it should be part of your default install. All right, unless you did a minimum and it may not be there. But anyway, so if you do a man on tar, it's tell you it's an archiving utility, right?
Mm-hmm.
You use tar for a lot of things. You can use tar to compress stuff to a tape. You can use tar to compress a directory or a folder or combine a bunch of stuff into one and make it one big file and then move that one big file over. Right? So in here they talk about, okay, we're gonna use the C, we're gonna use V
And
and the
F.
CSVF. That's what we're gonna use. No, CZVF. CZVF. So C to concatenate or to create. The V is for vote. The V is for revolts. The Z is for zip, and the F is the file that you want to name it. Right? What you want to name it. So we can do a lot with this tar command that can compress stuff for us. So let's show you an example of that. So let me clear my screen. Let's do it less. So I want to create a tar file that's C for create, Z for zipping it, V for verbose, and F, and I want to call the file temp.tar.gz, and then now I tell it what I want to put in there. Me, he, hello, she, you. All right. Oh, I got a double E in there, so it didn't compress the he part. All right. So yeah, ended with some errors. Yeah. So there it is, temp.tar.gz. Right. It's just the contents are still there, but I still have a tar file that got created with the contents that are still there. Right. It just took all this and compressed it into here. Right now they're just files. They're just files that I created. Now, what if I don't want to open this tar file, but I want to find out what's in that tar file. So let's go back to main tar. And if you look in here, there was a list. So we can do a tar dash dash list. There's also a shortcut here, and I think it may be tar dash L. Don't get me wrong. Give me the line. Yeah, T. Tar dash T. All right, so we'll do tar dash T on temp.tar.gz. This let me do the dash two. All right, so I listed what was in this file: me, hello, she, and you. Remember, he failed because I had two E's up here on it, so that failed. It's like, yeah, you don't have a file in this folder anymore. So what I did was when I did this command here, I created a tar file. I compressed it, I tarred it, and then I compressed it. So now let's just do this. Let's fix our error. Let's take off the Z. And then let's take off the GZ. So it's just going to create a tar file with those in it. So if we do it ls, now we have a tar file with temp.tar, but it's not compressed, and we see temp.tar gz. So let's do a ls minus l, and you're going to see a size difference. See it compressed and not compressed. And if I want to read that file again, I can use the tar.tf. Let's take off the gz, and it's going to read that file. And let's read .gz as well too. All right. So I created a tar file. I'm able to read a tar file. I'm able to compress a tar file. So now I have everything wrapped up in a tar file. Let's remove he, hello, me, she, and you. Should have did a dash F. Clear. Do ls. So we don't have nothing there. That's all gone now. Now it's all gone, but I tarred it up. Remember I told you to save your stuff beforehand, before you start writing and moving files. So now I can do, I just want to get everything out of the tar file. So I'm gonna do tar dash
X.
vf and then temp.tar. And now when I look at this directory, this stuff is back again. Let's remove all that stuff again. All right, and let's clear. And now let's untar the .gz file. And everything is back in. So you can do a tar, or you can do a tar dash gz. And the zip, the z is gonna give you the zip. If you don't put the zip in there, you're just tarring the file. This works with the same way with bzip and bzip2. The same way with and then you just have the gzip. So let's see, rpm dash qa grep. All right, so we have that tar command here. So now let's do a man on gzip, because we can gzip the tar file. Instead of doing it in one step, I can do it in 2 steps. But most people do it in 1 step because it's just easy. Just throw that Z in there and I don't have to worry about zipping it up, right? And you see, whenever possible, each file is replaced with the extension .gz. And that's what we were doing. We were zipping the file all at the same time. I don't need to see on shorthands .tar.gz and .tar.z. See, we don't have to worry about that. So let's zip up a file. I think I could just do this. Let's gzip temp.tar. Okay, do you want to overwrite? Oh no, I don't want to overwrite because I have a tar.gz there. So let's say no to that. And then I wonder if I can do temp-2.tar.gz. I wonder if I could say that. Would it take that? Nope, it doesn't take it. All right, let's do a man on gzip. Let's see how I can do it without overwriting what I already have. May have to look online because it'll zip up my file, but I don't want to zip up my file that I have there already. Let's see, force, decompress, standard out, keep the -L for listing in there. Well, let's try that. Just curious. Can I do gzip -L temp.tar.gz? Okay, so it's just giving me compression. It didn't give me the listing of information. That's okay. And it just tells me if it's uncompressed, that's what it is. That's cool. All right, let's go down and see if we got anything. So we got a Zcat, but I don't see where I can just change the name. Okay, file already exists. Do you want to overwrite? If you respond with yes, it will overwrite it. If you respond with no, it's not. So already.gz is change the file is assumed to be already compressed. Rename the file and try again. Okay, so yeah, you can't do nothing with it. It's just gonna rename it's just gonna override it. It's just saying, hey, it's gonna rename it and go from there. So basically, let's do this. Let's clear this, and then let's do a tar. Let's do a tar dash tf on temp dot tar, and then attempt.gz. And you see we have me, he, hello, she, you. And here we have just me, hello, she, and you. But now when I do a gzip of um, uh, temp.tar and I want to overwrite it, yes. What do you think now is in temp.tar.gz? What do you think is in there now?
The me, hello, she, you.
Let's see. There it is.
Oh, well, you got it's all kind of stuff in here.
But no, you had it right. You were trying to say the first thing is going to be in that thing now. So now let's look at it. Let's do an ls. You can see now my old, I had two of them. I had a temp.tar and a temp.tar.gz. It got replaced. It moved it away. It overwrote that file.
Okay.
All right. And that is the basis of tar, right? You create it, you zip it. You can just create tar. You can use tar for copying to tape. So tar to copy to tape, tape, but I mean most people are not copying tar, creating tapes and so forth. But you can use tar to do that. But you more you won't be doing that on the exam. You won't be copying that into a tape file. You won't be doing that. Yeah, you won't be doing nothing like this. Like you won't be copying remote files to a tape, tar dot dash dot star remote mercury DDoF and copying it to tape. You won't be doing that. I've done that before, but you more than likely you won't be working with no tapes unless you're working with an old company. Then they got some tapes, but you won't be doing that. And that's tar and that's gzip. I gzipped it, so you can use g unzip temp.tar.gz and then do ls and you get temp.tar back. What do you think is in temp.tar? Same thing. I just unzipped it. Now when I want to untar it, I do a tx vf temp.tar and it's gonna write the stuff to back to the directory. Here we did a g unzip, which gave me temp.tar. And then I said,
Mm-hmm.
well, what do you think is in temp.tar? I read it again, which is tar.tf. And then we untarred the file, which means it wrote it to the folder. Now, here's another one that we can do. We have a file. I mean, we have this tar file, right? What if I want to append something else to this tar file? Right? So let's make a directory called let me see. And then now we want to append to a tar file. So how do we find out how to append? So do a man on tar, and then let's look up append. All right. So there's another one. right here, -R. Append files to the end of the archive. So -R. So let's see how this works. tar dot r, and let's see what we want to append. Oh yeah, let me see. To temp.tar. Let me do that. Let's see, do I need an F? Because I'm using that. Maybe, I don't know. We're about to find out. Maybe I need it here. -RF. Yep, doesn't like me. All right, let's look and see. Mantar. And let's go back to a pen. Let's see if we got an example. Well, we can always use -append and let's see the options and then the archive and then the file. Okay, so I have to move it outside. So I have to move this out, which makes sense because you have to have the switches, the file that you want to, the file that you are appending to, and then what you are appending. Let me see. All right. So we had the the command, then the options, and then the file that we are appending to, and then what we want to append to it. So now when we do a tar-tf on temp.tar, you can see that it appended to the end, and now that's it. And now we can gzip this temp.tar, and now we'll do an ls, and now we have that tar file. And then if we want to read the tar file again, we do a tar.tf on temp.tar.gz, and now we got it back. Make sense?
Yep,
Was tar pretty easy?
I think so.
Yeah. All right. So we have a bzip. So let's do a man on bzip. I'm gonna let you go. So how about bzip 2? All right. You said it was installed. Let's try. Maybe it's just the libraries. Yeah, it's just the libraries. All right, let's do bzip. That's fine. So do a man on bzip 2. All right, a block sorting file compressor. Decompress files to standard out. Recover data files from damaged bzip2 files. So you got bzip2, bunzip2, bzcat, and bzip2 recover. And we'll go over those next week. Well, not next week, tomorrow. We'll do tomorrow. We'll have bzip, rsync, and sftp. We'll go over some more Logrotate, and we did syslog.conf, but I'll go over it again. I think you understand how to check for yum packages. I don't think you understand RPM, so we're gonna do RPM tomorrow, and then we'll go over the disk. And when I say the disk, going over the disk, let's see. I am talking about this. I'm talking about coming into here. And what we're going to do tomorrow is you're going to take this instance and you're going to create a disk. And so we come down here and you go to disk. Right? I have an extra disk out here already, which is great. But what you do is in Google Cloud, you create a disk, you put it in the same region and zone as your machine, all right, and you make it a blank disk, give it a size or whatnot. You don't have to worry about encryption, and then create it. Of course, give it a name, and then if we went back over here to disk, you see I have a disk out here. I can attach that disk to my machine, right? So now we can, let me put that in here. You can create an instance from that disk. You can do a snapshot or whatnot. But in our case, we're just gonna add this disk to our machine. So now let's go here to VM instances. Let's see. I think we edit here. And we hop down here. I think we add a disk down here. Right here, add a new disk. Oh, attach existing disk because it's already here. And then it should find it. Or is it located somewhere else? Oh, see, no unattached disk in USB 1. So remember when I was telling you you have to have it in the same one? That's where it comes from. So USB 1. So when I create a disk here, I need to create it in USB 1, which I think this is what this is. Yep. And TAM disk and blank is fine. We don't need anything on it. 100 gigs is fine. Create. All right, now it's creating TAM disk. It should have found rel 8, but that might be, I don't have anything else attached to it, but it should have found that. That's fine. Let's go back over here to our instances while that's doing this thing. And let's edit. Drop down here to this. See. Add a new disk. Yep, see, add a new disk. It's not, that's actually going out and create one. And that's not what we want to do. So let's attach a disk. Did it come up? Yep, TAM disk right there. And now it's in read write, keep disk, yep. And then done. All right, now at this point on our box, on our rel 8 box that I have out here. And this is how you all can use LVM. You can do LVM with this. All right, so let's get logged back into this box. And we're gonna do this again tomorrow. Come on, you can do it. Once this comes up, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a F disk minus L, and you should see should be SDA or VDA, and VDA. I mean, and then VDB. It may be SDA, STB. Come on. I know it's taking a while. Any questions so far as well too? Why this is doing this thing?